Caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The Caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the Caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the Caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop.
From the heaven to the hell, the Mike Calderese, the Caltrop, he never stops, so ring the bell. He bring the facts, he spin up every morning till we sleep. He get it deep, Mike Calderese, in your head and in your sheets. And we don't mind, and we don't care, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop. And we don't mind, and we don't care, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop. And we
Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop. I'm your host, Michael Calderese. And I always say this, everybody, we are your defense mechanism, because what we like to do here is something that I don't see a lot of shows doing. All right. Now you have a lot of different shows that are out there, and you have the vast majority have some type of bias, have some type of team. You know, every one of them have a team in the fight. I got to tell you, locally I have a team in the fight, but nationwide, worldwide, I really don't. When I look at these issues across the world, I deep down really genuinely do not give a flying solitary fuck about anybody else but America. And if I was to say that I really did, I think that's disingenuous. Like, I could say deep down that I really don't want people dying, which I don't. I could say deep down that I really don't want any innocent lives, being killed. I don't want to see children dying. I am, like, unhypocritically pro-life. If you're pro-life and you somehow morally justify the killing of children for whatever reason, I find that to be ridiculous. But all of this, I say to try to, like, help you understand where my thought process is coming from. Because while I'm sitting here laying bricks, like, one of the good things that I get to do working with myself is I'm laying block, I'm editing videos, I'm screen recording videos, and I really am looking at this, all of it, from an unbiased perspective, because I don't really care about anybody else around the world. People say we do, but deep down inside, if we're being very honest, we really don't. And I don't have a dog in this fight. I know it seems like I go after, different areas or in different groups of people, but I really do want to understand why things go on, because we're involved. It's our tax money. And all you hear is one-sided bullshit. You hear, this side is pro-Israel side, the pro-Palestinian side. And there's never the guy that's kind of in the middle that's saying, okay, let's take a look at the real histories here. And I've done it on this show. We've looked at the real history. I know everyone thinks I only bash Jews on this show, but I've said plenty of positive things about them. Mainly, I understand why they operate how they operate. Okay, I understand how people operate because I've talked to a lot of them, understand their history, I understand what they're teaching, I understand what they think, I understand what they've been through. And they operate in a way that is a protective mechanism for their people. I fully understand where they're coming from. Don't have to agree with it, but I understand it. And all you hear on both sides is the propaganda. So one of the things I never really did was, and I did a little bit of it, but I really wanted to dive deep into the history of the Palestinian side. I want to understand what the hell they're doing. I want to understand what they're saying. I want to hear from a Jewish rabbi that is anti-Israel. They do exist, and we're going to listen to one today. But you have to look at this stuff as an unbiased, but also from an informed position, because everyone's an expert online now. And these are very complicated issues that go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to really fully understand what a certain group of people are dealing with. Now, anything I say here, I'm not justifying anything. I don't even think we have to justify anything, but all I'm trying to do is give an accurate understanding of what I did. And I went crazy today. And not just today, over the weekend, I really started diving really deep into the history of it. Listen, there's a lot to this. So if you have anything in the chat where you want to kick back and forth, if you think I got anything wrong, because I am, ripping this back off from the dome, and it's the things that all the takeaways that I had about this. But we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the history. And I'm talking going back to the Ottoman Empire. What happened at the end of the fall of the Ottoman Empire, and then what transpired from there till now? And what are the core issues that have been in place since all that to now? And are we actually addressing those core issues? Today we're gonna take a deep dive into it. It's gonna be great. Listen, it is a little bit of Palestinian history. It is a little bit of Israeli history. I have a Christian priest. I'm not gonna talk a lot. I'm gonna do a lot of letting these people kind of talk to see, so you can see where my mindset is and who do you agree here? Because what I like doing is listening to everybody. I want to hear your side of the argument. How convincing is it? And I want to hear from people that you wouldn't expect, like a Jewish rabbi who is called anti-Semitic, okay, because they're anti-Zionist. Listen, some of the stuff that guy said was amazing. Again, I have a Catholic priest that really kind of calls out Christianity, and I'm going to bash on Muslims a little bit just because it's fun, and everyone seems like we could bash on Muslims. But let's waste no time here and get to our quick, fun history lesson with the mic's right. Shut up and listen. All right, like I said, we're going to do some story time here, and the way I know how to bring this to you is through some acts. Okay, so here's Act 1. Yeah, the Ottoman Empire. They were the long-standing landlords. So we're going to rewind. And before all of what we see today, the region that we call Israel and Palestine, that was really part of what they called the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans ran it for 400 to 600 years. Okay, there was no Israel. There was no Palestine as a country, just empire, the Ottoman Empire. Think of it as one giant Airbnb listing that's ran out of Istanbul. It has had its positives and negatives. The positives were, at the time, it was very stable, and every religion lived peacefully together under, believe it or not, Islamic doctrine. The negatives were the Muslims did treat non-Muslims as they were beneath them, and many more, obviously. But again, stability reigned for hundreds of years. Then you have Act 2, the World War I. Everyone stabs the landlord. So World War I happened. The Ottomans obviously picked the wrong team. They sided with Germany, and Germany lost. Suddenly, Britain and France are like, yeah, you know what? You're bloody wankers, and we're going to take the whole region, we will. Thanks, mate. And they took it. And here's where it gets shady with Act 3. All the double promises and triple promises that the Britons were doing. So Britain starts making promises like a guy cheating on 3 different relationships. They tell the Arab leaders, help us fight the Ottomans and we'll give you independence. Then secretly, they signed the Sykes-Picot Agreement, dividing the Middle East like it's a pizza. Then in 1917, they dropped a Balfour Declaration saying, we support a Jewish homeland in Palestine. So basically, Britain said, you get a country, you get a country, but actually, nobody got what was promised but one group. And the side note, why did Britain even care about this region? What made this area at the time so important? Well, it's a very simple answer. Oil. Not in Palestine itself, but nearby. In places like Iraq and Iran, all part of the Ottoman Empire, oil had just been discovered. Awesome story with that as well. And suddenly the Middle East wasn't just a desert. It was liquid gold. The British Navy literally switched from coal to oil. So controlling that region became a life or death strategy. And as for Palestine, it became valuable because it was a land bridge and a pipeline route. That wasn't the prize, but the highway to the prize. Then you had Act 4, the British Mandate. You break it, you bought it. After the war, Britain takes control under the League of Nations system. Now they're running Palestine. And this is where tensions explode. The British rule let Jewish immigration increase, escaping, the proclaimed European anti-Semitism. They were sent there to escape anti-Semitism. The Arab population happened to already be there, living there currently. And both sides wanted the land. And Britain in the middle is like, guys, please stop because we caused this entire thing. But they can't get them to stop. Because from 1947, this is Act 5, to 1948, it was the breakup that nobody really agreed on. Britain gives up and hands that whole area to the United Nations. The UN proposes a partition plan, a Jewish state, an Arab state, okay? Jewish leaders say yes, of course, because it gives them a state. Arab leaders say absolutely not because they were the one giving up the land. Then in 1948, Israel declares independence, and boom, war. Then we have Act 6, the Nakba. Israel wins the war, and about 700,000 Palestinians are displaced. Remember, this all took part after Palestine took in Jews who were displaced in the first place. But this so-called Nakba means a catastrophe. And here's the brutal truth behind all of this. Israelis see 1948 as their independence. Palestinians see it as disposition. The same event seen two completely different realities. And that divide, everybody, has never gotten resolved. And then you have Act 7, 1967. The map changes again. Fast forward to the Six-Day War. Israel captures the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. Now, millions of Palestinians are living under Israeli control, and it's been that way for the rest of the time. And the phrase temporary occupation that became the longest temporary occupation in human history. Act 8, oil strikes back. Then in 1973 hits. Arab countries say, oh yeah, you like supporting Israel? Cool. Enjoy $10 gas. You have the oil embargo. The global economy goes into panic modes. And suddenly, the Palestinian issue isn't just regional, it's global leverage. When oil becomes a weapon, Act 9, uprisings, peace deals, and the failure of those to act. That's what you get. You got infantadas uprising, you got suicide bombings, you got military crackdowns. That's what you were left with. Then the Oslo Accords, which were supposed to fix everything, but of course didn't. They tried to create a Palestinian state. But every time negotiations got close, something blew up, literally or politically. And let's face facts, they never offered them, the Palestinians, their own actual state without anybody else involved. Act 10, the modern era. Stuck in a loop. Now you've got Gaza controlled by Hamas, the West Bank partly controlled by a Palestinian Authority, Israeli settlements expanding, Netanyahu backdoor funding Hamas, and in his own words, we can control the height of the fire if we do this by funding Hamas. And then the same terrorists that were funded by Iran, he funded. And that was the reason for this war in the first place. Surprise, they had no final deal. Then October 7th, 2023 happens. A massive terrorist attack by Hamas. Israel responds with full-scale war, of course, and we know what happened. Tens of thousands are dead. And here we are in 2026. Kind of a ceasefire, kind of, but no real solution to the problem that I spoke about. And here's the final truth, the part that nobody wants to admit. This conflict is not just about land. It's not just about religion. It's not just about oil. It's about competing national identities. Broken promises from global powers, wars that never fully ended, and generations raised on trauma. And here's the oil connection, clean and simple. Oil did not create this conflict, but it made everything worse. It brought empires into regions. It made the land strategically critical. It funded wars and alliances. It gave outside countries a reason to never leave the area. Without oil, this might have just been a regional dispute. With oil, it became a global chess match. So the next time somebody says, bro, it's simple, just pick a side, tell them if it was simple, it wouldn't be going on after 100 years and continuing for thousands. All I know is that area has been fucked with for forever. And we expect people that have been fucked with for hundreds of years just to be cool with being fucked with. This Mike's right. Hope you listen. All right. Hey, man, you know what? And I want to caveat all that because, again, I don't agree, okay, in the tactics. I don't agree with any, like October 7th, I think was a horrible event. I think it was horrible that they attacked in the first place. I think it's horrible that Israel let it go for 20 hours without really mounting a response. The rapes, the innocent victims, the people that were dead, the disgusting nature in which these people fight each other on both sides is so fucking gross to me. But we have to understand that hate doesn't just come out of the fucking sky, like I've said plenty of times. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. Hate, there's always a reason for it. There's always a reason for it. And I want to caveat this. I don't feel bad for a group of people who could not develop their state and their country to a point where they could not protect themselves. I don't care that the Ottoman Empire was defeated in wars, which they were. I don't care about any of these things. If you can't defend your land, you have no right to keep it. There's no right to this, which is what bothers me and why I go after Israel all the time, because they claim they have a right through some God. That doesn't work in reality. It doesn't work. You have no right to any land. But we sit back and we think that a group of people that had land just yanked from them should just sit down and shut up. Now that I don't know how many times that happened in history where you let some of these people live. You just take their land. You don't kill everybody, and you expect them just to be cool. And what's happened? Now you have a situation where the people that took the land were really Britain and France. They're not the ones being attacked right now. They're the ones that behind all this shit. Them in America, because we wanted a piece of that oil too. And we fought for years and years and years to get our hands on some of that Middle East oil. We're still working on it. But nobody's going after France. No one's going after Britain for creating the situation that you have there. Even the Shah of Iran was put in place by those people. So you have an area that has been fucked with for so many years. The people there have been lied to, been stabbed in the back. What happens when you're lied to all the time? You're going to start lying. I'm just, again, understanding what's going on from both perspectives. I get it. Jews needed a place to live. You want to say that? Great. Doesn't the other group need a place to live too? If not, you're going to keep having these problems. You're going to keep having these wars. And it was interesting because I listened to this rabbi today. And I'll get to some of the chats. Put whatever you want to talk about in the chat. Put any of your critiques in the chat. But this was a rabbi, okay? And I'm going to play a bunch of him because I absolutely loved this guy, okay? This is, what is this guy's name? I thought I had, here it is. It is Rabbi Elhanan Beck, okay? And this is what he says created hate. And I played this stuff because I've never heard this guy before in my life. And I was just speaking about what created hate from, my basic understanding of history in the region. And just, if very few times, unless you're a guy that get in a fight with somebody and respect them afterwards, do you punch somebody in the face and they like you after. A lot of the times you get in a fight with people that, you're enemies, especially if you've killed one of my family members, you're going to be enemies. But this is Rabbi Elhanan Beck, okay, on what created Beck, on what created hate. And I want to just caveat this, okay? This is a group of Orthodox Jews, okay? That's called, and I'm going to try to say this correctly, but my mouth does not work for these things. Neturei Karta. Neturei Karta. It's a fringe Haredi Jewish anti-Zionist group founded in Jerusalem in 1938. They believe that the establishment of the state of Israel is a violation of divine law, the Torah, as they believe Jewish exile can only be ended by the Messiah. They advocate for dismantling Israel and often align with Palestinian causes because they don't believe that the state of Israel exists. And I wanted to play this guy because this guy is called a Jewish anti-Semite. He sounds Jewish. He looks Jewish, whatever that means. But he's called an anti-Semite because he is a Jewish anti-Zionist that is arguing the Bible on why Israel shouldn't exist. I found this shit fascinating. I have a lot of this guy. If you get bored of it, let me know in the chat, but I don't think you're going to because this stuff is riveting. And if you live in Ocean County, I'm telling you, there's things that this guy says that you would think he was talking about Lakewood, New Jersey. I'm not bullshitting. This is why I found this so incredible. But this is about 1 minute and 30 seconds of Rabbi Beck on what created hate.
Okay, I understand everything what you say about Messiah, about the Temple Mount, fine. However, you believe the Messiah will come, then the whole world will serve God. In which way? The Jews believe in the Jewish way. The Muslims believe also in a Messiah. They believe there will be the Muslim way. The Christian believe it will be in the Christian way. So again, you have something why to argue, to kill each other. My answer to that is the religion. This is very, very important to understand. The religion was never the problem. The problem is forcing up other people, occupying other people, forcing up to think, to do what you want. This is the problem. But the religion itself has no problem. I give you the example. You are a Muslim. Can you sit down in a coffee shop with a cup of tea with a Christian friend?
Me and you are sitting here having a good time. Yeah.
By a cup of tea, sharing the belief. You explain him, you believe in Messiah, he explain what he believe. You don't hate each other, you're good friends. Let's wait and see, that's all. There's not, the religion itself, it's not a reason why to hate each other. The problem starts only by the occupation, by force other people, and even forcing other people of the religion, yes? Like it was the Spanish Inquisition, yes? The forcing up the religion of other people, this creates hatred, this creates killing.
This creates hatred, this creates killing. Like, when people talk like this, to me, they make a lot of sense because what's the first thing he said? This is a guy that I think I related to immediately because when you try to look things out in a realistic, humanistic way, not in a biased, I'm only coming at this from my religion's perspective situation. What he said was, when the Messiah comes, everyone's going to live in peace under God. Well, you have a lot of different religions, and you have hell, you look at this, you have a sect of an Orthodox Jewish religious man right now that is anti-Zionist. And to tell you the truth, a lot of the Orthodox Jews in Lakewood, from what I understand, are not really fond of Israel. But then you have the other side that thinks that Israel, coming back, that Israel is going to return. Right. So just in and of that religion, which form of God and which form of rules, which form of standards are you going to live by? And then who's God? The Christian God, the Buddhist God, the Muslim God? Everyone thinks their God's correct. So what are we all living under? And when somebody immediately, right at the gate, comes at it with that type of logic, I'm more apt to go, okay, let's really hear this guy out, because he's coming at it from a very pragmatic approach, not an ideological one. Okay, this is a guy that wants to follow his religion, but understands what the history and what it's created. And sure, you could say he has a biased view, maybe for Palestine. Maybe that's where he's fine. Great. But that explanation of who's God, and then he goes in to say the religion isn't the problem. The religion isn't the problem. The occupation and the forced religion is the problem. It's always the problem. So when you have a guy say those first two words that are right out of the gate, the religion isn't the problem. That is what I think everybody in my area, I think that's what everybody in these areas that are fighting back against certain religions. The religion's not the problem, people. The behavior is the problem. I don't care about your religion. He's perfectly saying, I would learn from this guy. So he goes on, okay? And he starts talking about how Israel and Jews, like, so how Israel is, let's play this one. He goes on to make this claim, and I like to dissect it with you, that the most dangerous place for Jews is Israel. Listen to this.
In today's day, where is the most danger place for a Jew? Not for a Palestinian, for a Jew to live. The one place, Israel. We live in the whole world nicely, peacefully. We have no problem. I live here in England nearly 40 years. Yes, I never saw a soldier on the street. I never see somebody going with guns. We don't see that in the street. This means a safe country. Israel, every small child grown up with soldiers, with guns, with tanks, with all of this. This is a safe country. Every day, another bomb, another killing, another This is the most unsafe place for a Jew. For a Jew. We live in the Muslim world much safer than in Israel. Jewish people have a golden life in Iran, a golden life in Morocco, a golden life in Turkey. Everywhere, Jews live peacefully. The only danger place for a Jew to live is the state of Israel. Did they bring any safeness for Jews? They only bring hatred, killing, and danger for Jewish people. They say they're saving Jewish people from anti-Semitism. They're only raising anti-Semitism all over the world. Since the Second World War, anti-Semitism goes out of fashion.
So, what did you hear from this guy? That Jews live safer in Muslim worlds. Now, he makes some claims that Jews live everywhere, all over the place. And there are, estimates are 8,000 to 10,000 people living in Iran that are Jewish. You have 35,000, some have it upwards of 35,000 Jews living in Iran. And you don't hear stories about them being persecuted or thrown off buildings or any of this stuff. And they're living there. How they're living, I'm not going to comment on. I don't care. But what are you hearing out of this guy? I mean, you do have a lot of interesting things going on in Israel with the walls and how everybody hates you. And listen, I get it that you need to protect yourself. But how many, when you really do look at the situation, I think it does beg the question that do Jews live better in Muslim countries than they do Israel? I find that very, very, very hard to believe. Is it a possibility? Based on this guy's analysis saying that Israel is creating so much hate and so much danger for Jews that Israel is now the most dangerous place for them. That is plausible. Do I think Israel, when they're not fucking with anybody, I think Jews live good in Israel? Yeah, I think they live very good in Israel. But I do think some of this stuff that this guy is saying is plausible. Now, this is him on anti-Semitism, and this is a very, very interesting point that he makes. Check this one out.
Centuries we live together. And for the truth is to say that we lived in the Muslim countries much better than in the rest of the world. And this is open history. Everybody can see that.
I mean, I agree with you, but there's been some instances where some Muslims are anti-Semitic. I mean, but on the whole, I agree with you.
No. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just read the history. You are a bit influenced from the Zionists.
No, I just have some Muslim friends who are quite anti-Semitic. I mean, this is why I know, but I agree with you on the whole.
I will explain. These Muslim friends that you have, yes, bring them together with me.
No, they will love you.
Yes, 100%, because they are not hating Jews. They are hating occupiers. They are hating the genocide. This is exactly what they're hating. They have nothing against Jews at all. Look, I came from Jerusalem, yes? I'm already 7 generations there in the Holy Land. We gone out, we don't want to live under the Israeli government. We gone out in 1970. My whole family gone out. It's not only my family. Since 1948, tens of thousands of Jewish families has gone out of Israel. Even today, in my area, Stamford Hill, there are about 150 families that came out only the last 10 years.
So what do you see? What do you hear? What he said there, I love it, right? Bring them to me. They will love me. Why? Because they don't hate me or my religion. They hate the people that are occupying in the name of my religion. They hate the people that are creating genocide in the name of my religion. They have nothing against my religion. I think that's a guy that gets it. Now, we have Jake Calder in the chat says, I don't believe that Jews live safe in Muslim countries, especially Iran, Lebanon, or Syria. Yes, Israel is a dangerous place for everyone who lives there because of the constant attacks. Listen, I don't know how these people live because I've never seen it. I'm not going to believe one person or the other or all that stuff. I think it's a good question. Are there Jews living in Muslim countries? If you do look at the Ottoman Empire, Jews were living in the Ottoman Empire, and there was relative stability then, and that was Muslim rule then. So it's not unheard of. I do fundamentally think that these religions are so diabolically opposed to each other, even though they're so similar, that you're never going to have a full understanding and a full agreement. I get that. But I don't know how they live. I don't. I do know that it does seem like that whole area has been a dangerous place for Muslims, Jews, and Christians since its founding. You know, and you had some stability throughout the years, but it seems like when we mess with things and try to mix cultures and force cultures into other ones and force religions up people's asses, that's where you have problems. Look at, again, 2 examples in America. You have Michigan and you have Lakewood, New Jersey. The same thing's going on. You have a religion that's being forced down people's throats in a way where you have, money schemes and fraud and abuse and everything that's involved in it. And you have Totally Random in the YouTube chat says they live quite well in Lakewood, New Jersey. They do, man. He also says the common factor may be Bibi, why he's always picking a fight and a war. So, this is the Ottoman Empire and Britain and all that stuff that was way before Bibi. Like now that's him, yes, but it's the same. But Bibi's thinking was the same people that started this movement back when Britain made that declaration of the Israeli state. It's that same level of thinking that's continued, and that same level of thinking has continued on and on and on and on and on. Again, where to get to the results of that? Dano the Mano, love his name, man. Said based, random. Israel tyranny needs an outside threat to justify its existence. That's how police states work, right? Yeah, dude. I mean, you always have to have an enemy. You always have to have a boogeyman. America does it too, to an extent. Right? I'm not going to... Guys, we have to stop viewing one religion over the other as boogeymen. Because I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. You have Muslims are not the be all end all of evil in this world. They're just not. Are they a leading contributor to it? Absolutely. But there's plenty of religions that are killing in the name of their God or in the name of their God's land. So we have all of this going on. Let's see. Oh, man, you have a hard name. Mikola says, I've been saying this for a few years, that I do understand the Palestinians because the Jews come in, offer a lot of money for properties, and some of the people jump on this, take the opportunity, take the money, and run. But a lot of people don't want to leave, and they don't want to. I like that. So listen, man, and you had that go on. If you look at the Rothschilds, you know what he did. He basically bought up, kind of legally, using a lot of his money, a lot of Israel that you're seeing today under the buy-in. It was I think at the time like a $5 million contribution out of his personal savings to buy all this stuff. And this is at the time where you were buying property for like $10-20. Right. So he was buying up a lot of this stuff. They got his people involved and got everyone involved and used his power and influence to push something onto a group of people that didn't want it and did it without their say. I do relate to this. We had a billionaire said he did it to a town in my area. The same exact playbook that the Rothschild did for Israel is the same exact playbook that's happening over and over and over and over and over again. And everyone's surprised when they get the exact same result. People being pissed off and fighting back. This is a predictable outcome. And there's some people that are able to see it. There's some people that are just not able to see it. Let's see. Do we want to do one more? Do we want to do one more with this guy here? Let's see. Jews in Iran. I don't know. Money tricks. Yeah, here we go. Listen to this. And you have to pay attention because the way he talks is kind of interesting. But again, tell me this does not relate. And tell me this isn't the same thing that I've been saying being the voice of, the Goyim spokesperson, so to speak.
That because of what happened in the Holocaust, the Jews should have a state of their own so that they can kind of be safe. What's your thoughts on that?
Really, you ask two questions, but I will try to answer that firstly. That would say that the Zionists have the right to defend themselves. But who gives them the right to be there in the first place? It's not their land. You cannot rob away someone's house and then to say, I have the right to defend ourselves. Give back the house to the right owner. Then you don't have any enemies. You're not in danger. You're in danger because you took away someone's house. Give back the house. Who gives them for the Zionists the right to take away the land on first hand from the people who used to live there? They bring up Jewish people from the whole world with money tricks to become a majority, to take over the land. Everybody knows the history, knows Jews was only 10%. It may be less than that for 100 years ago in the Holy Land. The Zionists bring up a majority with money tricks, and then they take away the land from the right owners, from the right people who used to live there, and they say, I have the right to defend myself. Who gives you the right to be there? And I might have to say more.
Well, it's what people in my area have been saying. You build up the majority with money tricks, and you force everybody else out, and the people that are left are going to fight you. This is the same thing I've been saying. And I feel very weird relating to this guy, but I really do. I don't know how you feel. Tell me I'm crazy in the chat. But when you say something like give back the house and you'll have no enemies, that sounds like a very fucking logical situation. Am I crazy? You remove somebody from their home, they're going to hate you for it. Give it back to them. You really think they're still going to hate you? I don't know, maybe because I think you have competing religions, but I do like the thought process. I do like the thought process there. Let's see. Another chat, totally random, says, just my thought or opinion. Jews can live where they choose, but the issue comes into play when they try to overtake, overthrow, or infiltrate a community whether it's local or international. Yes, and I think they do that for their own benefit. Again, you're talking about a group of people that have been hated for a very long time, that have been kicked out, that have been attacked for their way of life. Okay, that is their way of life. People could be complaining about it for a very long time. That's their way of life. And I understand why they do the things they do. I understand why they're trying to expand Lakewood. I understand why they're trying to force their way out of there. This is their protection mechanism, like I said before. But yes, their way of life creates a situation where people don't like them. And then what happens? You have other religions that do the exact same thing. They've created conditions to where people don't like them. And listen, Christians and Catholics lived that way for a very, very, very long time. And then you had like the Enlightenment period for the Christians and the Catholics. And then all of a sudden it was, hey, maybe we start actually living by Jesus's teaching and stop just randomly killing everybody and fighting these crazy wars. Maybe we have something called a just war doctrine. And maybe we live by some ethics, even in a war-based situation where it's based on self-defense. But we're still fighting with some level of morality that seems to have gone fully away. And Tucker Carlson had a bishop on, okay, and I'm trying to find this guy's name. It was Bishop. Oh man, Bishop. Franklin. I think it's Bishop Franklin, something like that. Okay. And this conversation was awesome with this guy because one of the things that he is talking about is following Jesus's teaching. And they were talking about the closing, like Israel closed. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Israel closed the church. And did that? I was looking for this one, and I don't know if that one actually came across. It's going to bother me. It was Israel closed the church, and I don't think that video came across. This is going to piss me off because I think let me see if I could pull it up this way. Video file. Did it even come across? Because here's I don't even think this came across. So Israel closed down a church, and this is a big week for Christians and Catholics. And nope, it did not come. It did not transfer over. Maybe I messed up in my rush. So I'll just talk about it. They closed the church, and it's a major church. Or it's a major church in the area. Can't think of the name of it right now. Put it in the chat. Somebody's going to be on top of this. Help me out. My brain it's been a long day of mixing concrete, mixing, mortar and laying block and doing this. And they closed it for the reasons that they give were safety and security reasons. And Tucker and this priest this bishop were talking about closing the church, the ramifications of it, the meaning behind it, and then basically getting into a little bit of the doctrine of Jesus, whether we believe him or not, right? And this is a great point that this guy made. Listen to this one.
Not addressing the terrible issues of his time. I mean, you used the phrase in the crosshairs. Cross is where Jesus Christ died. And ironically, Tucker, and I'm sure it isn't lost on you, that in my experience as a bishop and a priest, Holy Week is always a time where things are in the crosshairs, and it's different issues and different situations historically, but there's something about Holy Week that calls us back to who is Jesus Christ? Do we believe him or not? And if we do, we must morally be guided by his light. We must.
We must be guided by his light. And it's weird. I don't know why that is that is in the proper that's in the proper folder. It should have been passed on, but I guess something got lost in translation from computers talking to each other right there. But what you hear out of that guy, do we believe in Jesus or not? You know, and I listened to Dave Smith and Officer Tatum go into an argument. This is about a five month long argument, but he goes into talking about Christianity and the right thing to do. Do you believe in morality or not? And Officer Tatum made the thing where Dave Smith like chastised a group of young kids and said, you can't be pro-life and pro-killing in war at the exact same time. You can't hold those moral platitudes. And to me, that makes a lot of sense, right? Where like you can't be pro-life with abortion and then pro-Israel bombing children or pro-Hamas bombing children. And it goes both ways. Now, at least the left at least is cool with everybody getting killed. It's the hypocrisy that I see sometimes on the right that I got to call it out, because we either like life or we don't like life. We either follow, like, I'm not a Christian, okay? But my morality came from Catholic. It came from Christianity. I come at this from a point of view where I don't want people dead. I don't want people getting killed. I don't want people maimed. I don't want kids blown up. I don't want women blown up. I don't like any of this. But when the Christians start living their lives the way they're supposed to be living their lives. See, to me, the whole problem is you have a lot of all talk, no go people, and they don't really follow their religion. They follow the religion that's convenient to them, and everything in that religion is twisted to fit their reality, and their reality doesn't twist to fit what they actually are supposed to be believing. And this is where I think the big divide is. So when I hear people like this rabbi and people like this priest talk like this, I absolutely love it. And this is another thing he says: you can't justify killing the innocent.
We're fighting, and what we're all fighting is so much misinformation, so many false messages. It's really hard to know what is true.
Yes.
And that's why I think it's so important. And I will be a broken record repeating, we can never justify the large-scale destruction and devastation of civilian life as morally justifiable. We can't do that. And I think we have to keep going back to that home base with all the chaos that we're all dealing with.
I think one of the things that we can say is that Christianity, targeted or not, the core tenets of Christianity, whether on purpose or not, is often in the crosshairs. We know that, I believe, talking to people in Jerusalem this morning, that there were no synagogues completely closed. And we know that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was not closed during the last 2 world wars. Mm-hmm. We know that the idea was to have a Catholic leader and 3 others in there for a live stream service, and that was banned. So it's hard to understand.
It's hard to understand. A lot of this is very, very, very hard to understand. And we have a lot of people that are stuck in making excuses for, outright. You have Christians and Catholics that are making excuses for doing a lot of this stuff. And even so-called Christians like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, and they hide behind their Christianity and they use it and they cry behind it. And then they froth at the mouth to kill another religion that they don't like. And they froth at the mouth to demonize everybody. And I'm here saying I think the regular religious person is not a horrible people. I think the powerful maniacs in all of your religions are the fucking problem. You have powerful maniacs no matter where you go, no matter what the religion is. And, it's at some point, when you really look back at all of the documentation and everything, the only real religion I think that is like cool with like killing is kind of Muslims, right? Everyone else is cool with killing in a different way, in a way where it's like, oh, we're not cool with it, but we'll justify it. kind of this way. And I saw a guy talking about the 3 stages of Islam. And this rang true for me as well, because I want to touch on all 3 of these religions, on how they have caused these problems everywhere. And everywhere you have these religious clashes, you have problems. And if you think about it, this guy's talking about Islam, but it really is talking about everyone involved in every single religion that seeks to impose their religion and their religion only lives by these 3 stages. This was like an awesome analysis. I loved it. Check it out.
If you study the history of Muhammad's evolution, if you look at his evolution from him starting off claiming to be a prophet to then becoming a warlord, this is Islam, depending on what stage you find Muslims in. So I like to break down the stage of Islamic expansion in 3. First stage is when you're outnumbered. When Muhammad claimed to be a prophet, he was outnumbered by the disbelievers. They're the ones who had the power. During that stage, the message of Islam was, let's preach and see who's right. That's stage 1. They're in the same circumstances Muhammad was when he was outnumbered. So what part of Islam will they implement? Stage 1. The people in control, in charge, outnumber the Muslims, and the Muslims have no means of subjugating the people and taking control of their economics, politics, and every other aspect of society. Then he migrates to Medina. Now he becomes the head of state. Now stage 2. Fight those who fight you and oppress you. Self-defense stage. Fast forward 2 years before he dies, he conquers the entire Arabian Peninsula. Now he has a huge military base. He now controls the economics. Now is stage 3. Expand Islam militarily, politically. So when you say this is not real Islam, no, it is real Islam because of the stage in which Muslims are. Now, see if the Muslims are the majority or not. If they are, it'll be stage 3. Stage 3, then they're in control. If they have a large number, stage 2. Islamophobia, you're robbing us of our rights. When they're minority, stage 1. So in America, what stage would they be implementing?
1-ish. Oh, it's like 2 right now.
2. So it's not that it's not real Islam. It is real Islam depending on your context.
I've heard that there's a ability where you can lie for the sake of Islam.
Yes. It's called taqiyya and khida. Taqiyya, because Muhammad said war is deceit, war is khida, and taqiyya, concealment.
Believers should not take disbelievers as guardians instead of the believers, and whoever does so will have nothing to hope for from Allah.
Only if it's for deceit, because then there's a condition.
A precaution against their tyranny.
The only reason why you'll befriend the kuffar, the disbelievers, is to protect yourself from their backlash once they realize what your agenda is.
The only reason to befriend these people is to protect yourself from the backlash. You have to remember, these are people that have been trying to take over other groups of people for years. And we have to understand where every single one of these people are coming from historically. The last 100, the last 1,000, the last 2,000 years. We have to understand this. And the 3 stages, I think, were absolutely perfectly said. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. When they have the majority, they will be different. And it was the same, again, that stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 seems to be happening in the competing religions that are fighting over this country, in this country right now, not overseas. You have competing religions fighting for control, fighting to outnumber everybody, breeding their way into outnumbering everybody. And when they are in the majority, you will be living under their control. You will be living under their rule. You will be living under their religion. And America, I've got news for you, everybody. We are headed towards the Crusades. We are headed to have the Middle East right here in this country. Are we 20 years away, 30 years away, 50 years away, 100 years away from it? But you are going to be having states pretty soon fighting over religious dominance. What happens when the Muslims of Patterson, New Jersey grow to the point, and the Jews in Lakewood grow to a point where they are now fighting each other in the state for control? And what happens when all the politicians are religious by nature? You're starting to see it. What happens to the regular, everyday, non-religious person? They get screwed. Jake Calvin in the chat says the history of the land is more powerful. Country conquers another and takes their land. Israel and what is happening in Jersey is totally different. Lakewood, people are living off tax dollars. Yeah, I mean, listen, it would be one thing if it was old school where the Jews came in and just fought them and won. I'm cool with that. But this isn't what happened. What happened was a weird situation where Britain won it and then sent them over there as you know, and they were embraced for a period of time, and they were refugees for a period of time, and then all of a sudden it became stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. You're the majority. Get the fuck out now. Now we fight. We were your friends, but we were lying to you. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of these with Netanyahu, but Netanyahu is under investigation. Okay. And which one was it? Was it this one or this one? We'll play both of them. But he was basically talking about how he lies to their enemies and makes them believe that they're friends, and then plays them like a fucking fiddle.
יש לנו כאן שכנים, הם אויבים מרים שלנו. אני מעביר להם מסרים כל הזמן. אני מטעה אותם, אני מעריך להם, אני מהתל בהם, משקר להם, ואחר כך נותן להם מכות על הראש. בדיוק אותו הדבר.
It was important for him.
Were you able to read that? We befriend them, we lie to them, we make them complacent, make them think that we're cool with them, and then we beat them over their heads. This is what this guy's saying behind closed doors. This is what he's saying. And he goes on to say this.
את התעשייה הציבורית, התקשורתית, שעובדת יחד עם ניסיון של הפללה. בסדר, זה אני אומר לך עכשיו, לא ידעתי את זה אז. אבל עם הכאוס התקשורתי הנורא הזה, על הנהנתנות הנוראה של בני הזוג נתניהו, שחיים חיי קיסרים ממש, ממש קיסרים, כן? השטויות האלה.
So, I mean, it's the media doing it, or is it your own plan? Right? But do you see that? Do you see the similarities in the way that all of these religions have gotten their way, have pushed their way, have forced their way into everyday citizens' lives? The ones that aren't crazy. Everyone forgets about this. The religious fanaticals are the minority. It doesn't seem like it, does it? We are the majority. We are the people that hold the power in the cards. Doesn't seem like it, though, does it? Because you have these fanatics that are pushing their ideology, their way of life on everybody else. And when those clash and lands start getting taken, this is when you have hate. And it's hate that has been going on both sides. Because I got news for everybody. Every religion has lived in that area. Every religion calls that home. In Jerusalem, there's what? A mosque, a church, and a fucking temple. It's everything there. Everybody has lived there. Nobody has claim to it. Everybody has lived there. But when people start picking and choosing, oh, well, you get it here, you get it here. And it wasn't won. It wasn't fought for. It wasn't seized or conquered. I don't know. Jay Calvin says this happens throughout history. Conquerors enslave the conquered and become their rulers. It happened in Rome, England, and all over for world centuries. Yeah, exactly. I said that to begin with, right? Just because you have your land, if you can't keep the fucking thing, you have no right to it. This has been true forever. Forever. Remember, all Bible was translated by humans, and humans will always insert their own biases in translations. Yeah, that's 100% accurate right there, Jay Calda. And remember, you're also going to have the stories, and you're going to the winners set the history, and how many books have been burned, and how many books are left out, and how many religions. How do we know the Bible contains all the relevant books in the Bible to tell you the full story of it? We know the book of Enoch is a real historical document that was left out of the Bible for some reason. And I still got to read that. I can't wait to read that. Dan on the Mano says, and now they opened USA Japan communications on X It's all translated now. Tucker released this. Yeah. Tucker did just release it. I know it was coming out. He says he's a huge fan of Alex Jones. Unironically, Harrison Smith, all those guys. I think we'll miss having real journalists one day. 100%. Totally Random says, I'm not 100% on board with Tucker, but these days he may be speaking the most truth and logic. Affiliated media is all bought and paid for. Yeah, you know what? You know what I like about what Tucker does is he does have conversations with people that, may have a different thought process than him. What I don't like about Tucker is when he obviously is trying to play his side without making it seem like he was playing his side. I got that feeling with Nick Fuentes and a couple other people. But situations like this where you have that priest, I do love what Tucker has done. Let's see. Mike Jones. I like it. I like when Mike Jones joins it. Mariah, she's first. Mike Jones actually says, great breakdown. Whoa! How you doing there, kid? I gotta love it. Usually you're talking shit. I love it. I don't think the majority of people want to spend their times hating or disliking specific groups. We all have better things to do. That's what Mariah is saying. But like you're saying, we know that there are wildly valid reasons that this group is forcing others to go down that path. This group knows why people have issues with them as a whole. All over the world, politicians have to stop being bought and scared so they can help us. The idea is politicians are bought, and we have to change that process. We have to stop voting for bought politicians because we chose a side. Mike Jones says, here's the difference between Jews and Islam. Islam is a religion of conquest and forcing the beliefs on you. Religious Jews just like to keep to their own. The Hebrew does not match the translation there. Which I guess what translation? Which translation did I well, listen, once again, everyone thinks that the original Bible was written in Hebrew. I think the original documents were translated into a Hebrew version. And then if you look at some of the Jews, you have a Yiddish version, then you have your Christian versions in English and different dialects and different people put it in. So you have like the King James version, the New Times Bible. Then you have all, other documents and other historical, like the translation, like Jay Calda said, the translation means a lot. And I think original texts, yes, were they written? A lot of them were written in Hebrew because that's at the time where it was coming about. But it's still, you all had a human writing this. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. A human is going to be injecting their bias into it. And then we learned about a source called the Q source in theology. I believe that was what it was called, the Q source. And the Q source was like an unknown source that they believed that the Gospels and a lot of the Bible stemmed from. Just because of how similar all the Gospels were in the New Testament and the whole nine yards. So there's sources about this, and there's religions, and there's religious texts, and there's gods, and speaking about gods, and speaking about morality, and all this stuff that dates back way before Judaism, way before Christianity, way before Muslims and the whole nine yards. We had ancient religions. You had pagans. So it's tough when I look at all this stuff, and it's I find arguing over this stuff to be arguing over whose God is correct is so ridiculously troublesome and so ridiculously anti-productive for the betterment of humanity. And not one religion ever sits back and analyzes what they may have in common with the other religions. And maybe we all try to push some basic morality, which we all have the same for. They all want to say, kind of be good to everybody. Be good. But there's always the caveat in every religion. Well, unless they hate you, then you go fuck them up. I don't know. I think we have to figure out one thing, and this is what Tucker said.
One of the truths that seems the most threatening is that violence is not the answer.
Truth is threatening, everybody. Truth is threatening, which is why I have a lot of people that have a problem with what I say, because I give you the truth. I give you the truth on both sides, every side of it. And yes, war and violence has not seemed like the answer, has it? You could fight, you could kill people, you could displace people. Does that stop the hatred, or does that create the further hatred? The only thing that it does, it seems like it delays further hatred. Unless you have a group of people that know, okay, listen, I'm done fighting. And that happens throughout history, where it's like, you know what? I've had enough of fighting, motherfuckers. Like Japan, we dropped 2 real big bombs on them. And they said, okay, we're done. We're not screwing with these maniacs anymore. And they've had act right, and we've had a good relationship ever since. But I don't think that holds true for the far majority of the world, because the world has been conquering and reconquering and fighting back and waiting and building and mounting another defense. You had the Israelites winning and then losing and then winning and then losing, and then it goes back and forth. The Philistines, back and forth. And war and violence, guys, I think it could be the answer in small doses where there's a clear outcome. When it's you smack my wife on the ass, I punch you in the face, problem solved. But when it's ideology and it's mindset and it's thought process and it's religion and God telling you what to do. And when people think my God is right and fuck your God, and that's what you saw. It's what you just saw, I'm sorry to say, out of Israel with closing the church. This is a group of people that would never, ever, ever bend a fucking thing for their God and their religion and their laws. They will never bend for it. But you're closing a church that I didn't even think you had the ability to close. And it's my God's good, fuck your God, and they're all the same. I don't care what anybody says. They're all the same. So, let's get to the last comments. Let's go. Dano the Mano says, you will deny me 3 times for the rooster crows, but you're going to start the church, Western culture. The world is evil. Evil will hate you for speaking the truth, bro. You're not kidding. I'm kidding. Romans kicked them out in like 40 AD, right? Pompeii, from Judea, Palestine. Yeah, so, yeah, again, and everyone wants to say that the Romans are what killed Jesus, but he was killed in Nazareth. Jesus was apparently a real person. There's actual Pontius Pilate. There's records of him, being convicted and tried and crucified. Crucifixion was like their preferred method of this shit. But this was taking part in Judea. So it was pushed by the Jews. So, yeah, there's a lot to that, Dan on the Mano. The Romans definitely kicked him out. Listen, again, I don't think that form of Judaism is what is even practiced today. I think there's still some sects of it that do. But that form of Judaism that people are practicing today came after Jesus. Rabbinical Judaism came after Jesus. That's just fact. Before, it was like blood sacrificing and shit like that. And I think there's still parts of that going on. The caparus with the chickens and cutting. I still don't fully understand that. Somebody has to tell me about that. Mike, you have to tell me about that. Western Wall and the mosque also closed due to safety, not just the church. But the Western Wall is what? It's a Western Wall. Did you have one temple that was closed? You haven't. Okay, you had a mosque, you had a church, and you had the Western Wall. Okay. but you guys, and you know this, Mike, this is the start of one of the holiest weeks in Christianity right now, going into Easter. Would anything be closed during one of the holiest weeks of Judaism? You know this. You can't argue it. You know the answer is absolutely not. Nothing would be closed. It's just, I'm sorry. It's fact. And Dano says, yep, it's true. It was Babylonian stuff. Yeah, I mean, this goes back to a long time. Jake Halda, why have the Lost Sea Scrolls haven't been published? Is it the Dead Sea Scrolls? I think it's the Dead Sea Scrolls that you're talking about. And I don't know why they haven't been published. I think you could read them. But they, the Dead Sea Scrolls are what kind of formed a lot of our Bible, right? That's the argument. I think people have read them, but why aren't they out there? That's a really good question there, Jake Halda. And let's see, anything else? No, the Western Wall is the biggest. The Western Wall is the biggest temple. The Western Wall is the biggest temple. Well, it was one of the biggest temples that was destroyed, right? And is this like, I know Passover's coming up, but are you going to sit there and tell me that you can't practice your religion? I don't know, man. I don't buy it. I still don't buy it. And the Western Wall is closed for Passover. Yes, it is closed. It is close. Stop lying, Mike. I would love for you to come here and say that, buddy, because I doubt. Or do you still have like religious service at the Western Wall? Do you have like temple service there? Because you see all the people with the yarmulkes on kissing the shit out of the wall. Even the leftover Shah of Iran, the crown prince Shah's son or whatever it is, had the hat on and kissing the wall. But do you still have service there? And I'm sorry if here's another point for this. If your religion has created so much animosity and your actions in Israel have created so much animosity that is affecting other people's ways where they are celebrating their religions, again, it's forced theocracy on everybody else. Sorry, you don't close that fucking church. It stayed open during World War I, stayed open during World War II. You do not close these things. You don't do it. Don't care what anybody has to say. No, just prayer. Exactly. Just prayer. And according to Richie Roberts, you guys could pray anywhere. Okay? Catholics, Christians, we go to church and we pray. We don't enter a guy's house in cars of 50 and then pray there and leave. That's not part of what they do. So, again, we don't give a shit about the way you live. I'm sorry, it just is. But good chat. Love your show. Love you, Dano. Really appreciate you, Dano the Mano. Love everybody. Remember, finger blast the fuck out of my like buttons. Prayer replaced temple service. Okay, I get it. But you still have them. You still have shoals. You still go to places and pray. You still are 501c3 exempt in these places. They don't replace anything. They're gathering spots to pray. But do you have services? I don't know. What is it when everybody goes into your temples on Friday and you have it floods? I watched it happen. What is that? You obviously have prayer services with big, large groups of people. Okay, in Catholicism, that's where they pray. They get together, they pray. They have prayer service. That wasn't replaced by anything. It still happens. And I know Catholic Church, right? You get up, you get down, you get up, you get down, you kneel, you stand, you kneel, you sit, you stand, kneel, sit. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, a couple times. You have a couple refrains. Lord, hear our prayers. Lord, hear our prayers. Lord, hear our fucking prayers. And some praise Jesuses, and you're out of there. Stand, sit, kneel. Body of Christ, a little bit of wine, and you're home. I was drinking that shit at like 12 years old. It was great in church. I got to tell you, it was fucking awesome. Love it, guys. Really appreciate you. You can pray anywhere, Mike says, but certain places are better. Yeah, no, I get it. Exactly. But Christians and Catholics don't do that. So again, you're not looking at their point of view. It's only one version's point of view. And I get it. That's your country. But it goes to the overall overarching theory of what I'm trying to say here. No religion gives a shit about other religions. They just fucking don't. And people like me who aren't religious are tired of it, are absolutely sick and tired of being sucked into the middle of all of your religious battles. And my fight here in America is to point out that shit is coming here. And we have better focus and figure out how we all get freedom from religion. I'm going to say it like it's going out of style. In this country, we need freedom from religion, freedom from the tyranny of religion, freedom from the tyranny of the majority of a religion. And we certainly need the freedom from competing religions that are going to be fighting to push their values on the American people soon. And I don't care what religion it is. I don't want your values pushed on me in any way, shape, or form. I do not need Jehovah's Witness America in multiple religious form. I don't need it. And do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. It says totally random. I love it. There was no bomb shelter in church. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Stop pissing people off to where you need to get bombed. Just saying. All right, everybody. Really love you guys. Listen, finger blast my like button. Share the shit out of the show. If you enjoyed this show, talk about it. Talk about it to your friends. Share it with everybody. I am going to do my best. And this is why I do love having you in the chat, Mike, because I don't understand a lot of what how you guys pray and live, right? I want to understand what the Western Wall is about. I do. I'm never going to be touching it with a yarmulke on my head. I will never put one of those on my head, just like I never put any Muslim garb on my head. I'm never wearing any of that shit. But I do want to understand what you guys are doing, and thank you for clarifying some of that stuff. I really appreciate it. And I do realize that was closed. But I'm telling you, you don't need that in order to practice your religion, right? The Catholics need that in order to practice theirs. That's what I think everybody is missing. But thank you guys very much, man. Again, be caltrops in your own mind. You have to be a caltrop. And the way that you accomplish this is by trying to see everything from multiple perspectives in an unbiased point of view, in an unbiased way. And try to see why these people hate each other. Try to see what the problems are on both sides. And the only way we're ever going to come to some type of solution, and I'm not saying I figured one out, but the only way a solution is ever going to come is when people understand why they piss people off. People understand the history of why other people have been offended. People understand the history of why everybody fights back. And people understand the history of how meddling has created hatred throughout years and years and years of meddling. And one day, maybe, we could be caltrops in our own mind to where we don't get sucked into defending murder and defending war. And this caltrop is going to be here for you guys. I really appreciate you. I love you. I hope you do like these different style of, formats of shows. I hate doing the same show over and over again. And God's honest truth is, guys, I'm learning this as we're going. I'm not some fucking scholar that sits back and have read every last bit of everything. So a lot of these exercises that I take you guys through, I'm learning with you. And I'm trying to understand these conflicts on a deeper, in a deeper way than what you're getting from Fox News or CNN or MS Now or any of these horseshit shows. There's a lot that goes into this shit. And we have to understand this from multiple perspectives. That's what caltrops do. This caltrops got you. And I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I will see you Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have a guest, believe it or not. So we have a guest coming up. Stick around for that. Check out. I'll make a video on it tomorrow. He's another one in my area. He's coming on Friday. He's another dude that's fighting the corruption in local government. And if you notice, when you get involved, you're going to notice, and I'm trying to push everybody to get involved locally in their own little area. We need this everywhere in every single town, because I'm telling you, every town is just disgusting. Thank you guys very much. This caltrop is out. Later.
ring the bell.